find somebody that in your eyes is awesome, and especially with content, right? Find somebody that does something that you really, really like, and don't exactly steal that from them, but take those ideas and then make them your own.
Welcome, everyone, to the TechGuide podcast, where we give actual advice to those wanting to break into tech or looking for their next gig. We have Dan Long on the podcast to talk about content curation, being saved, co-founding a creative ad studio. Super excited to have him on today, Dan. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the invite. I was pretty excited.
Yes, and you're going to be great. And I want to talk a little bit more about like the video game industry, because you are well versed into it. You've been in it for about 14, 15 years. Take me to a game. Like, what is a game that is like pure nostalgia for you?
Well, I'm older, so there's this game called Telengard that was on the Commodore 64. It was a dungeon crawler. You can actually find it online now and play it in a browser, but it took, so my Commodore 64, it was before discs. So you had a cassette tape and a cassette player, and you stuck the cassette in, and it would take 20 minutes to load. And now you can just play it on your browser. It doesn't last very long. You don't go down a couple floors and die, and then you have to start all over from the beginning. But that's super nostalgia for me.
That's really, really cool. What's like type of games are like some of your favorite?
Before I got saved, I was really into horror games and a lot of just crazy weird games. Mostly indie games. But since I got saved, I really haven't been playing games that much. I mean, I play Fortnite with the family. There's a couple other games I like. Bullet Heaven games, which is the opposite of Bullet Hell. Not that it's like heavenly or anything, but it's a Bullet Hell game is where you avoid the bullets, and a Bullet Heaven game is where you are shooting the bullets and enemies just swarm you. And I really like those kind of games.
Yeah, I see those games a lot on like getting ads on like Instagram and whatnot. So I know exactly what you're talking about, actually. I do want to talk about being saved, though. You kind of just alluded to it right there. You have over 14 million views on Twitch, and then you got saved, and your whole branding changed to Dan Long Ministries.
Right.
Take me really... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like I'm a partnered Twitch broadcaster. Actually, January 21st is my 10-year partner anniversary on Twitch.
Nice.
I streamed full-time for many years. But then I just got burned out on it because, so if you're wanting to be a content creator, don't live stream 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it will ruin your home life, ruin your family life. It will ruin everything, and you will be so burnt out that you just despise streaming. I've done a bunch of different events, and I used to get really decent views. Like my highest number, I think, was 8,600 concurrent viewers. But my ego got in the way at some point in time, and I got really burnt out. And so I got really super cocky, and man, my viewership would just go down. And that's all I was thinking about. So viewers, I got to make enough money to pay the bills. And that is not the way to go about content creation. I mean, if you're doing it for a job, you should do it like a job, not 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then, so I really stopped streaming for a while. For a couple of years, I didn't really stream at all. But then I had got saved through, a bunch of stuff. And so at some point in time, the Lord told me to use this platform that I have given you for that. So I really had a hard time switching. It was difficult for me to tell people that I found Jesus there for a while. But eventually, and just recently, at the end of last year, actually, I did a name change from Indie to Dan Long Ministries. And now I don't even play games on my channel anymore. I just, the last year I read all of the Gospels, bam, right in order. And then this year, just doing some teaching and little talking about the word. So I'm not even playing video games. I did play some video games last year, but they were Christian-based kind of games.
Yeah.
It's hard to find some really good Christian games. Yeah, I tell people, don't subscribe to me, just watch. I don't have any kind of donation, anything on my channel. If somebody wants to give me money or whatever, that's okay. I just tell them to give it somewhere else, because I'm not streaming for that anymore. So it's a little bit different, if that makes sense. Not streaming as a career. But I can tell you a bunch of things not to do if you want to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Because I made a ton of mistakes.
Yeah. I am curious, like we'll definitely hit on that, but a question that popped to my mind is like that's a pretty big like life change. It's one thing to do like a life change when you're like 15 or like 16, 17, 18, 19, and just kind of figure it out. But like, talk to me about kind of like that whole like mindset shift and like,
oh my gosh,
whole new identity.
It's kind of been a process, because a lot of my beliefs have transformed and grown.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a lot of the things that I used to think were okay, the Holy Spirit has shown me that it's not necessarily okay. Like the things that are just like, sin is so socially accepted nowadays that so many things that just seem like they're okay, but in the word, it says that it's not. And a lot of people feel like, oh, Christians are judgy and Christian. And I'm not saying there are not judgy Christians, because there are judgy Christians. There are what's the word I'm thinking? Hypocrites. There's hypocritical Christians, but there are also judgy people in other things. There's judgy, because you know what the problem with Christianity is? It's the people, right? That's the same with anything. The problem with anything, if there's a group of people, it's the people that are the problem. But it's not like that. It's really about love and about just wanting people to not be separated from God forever and ever and ever. But yeah, it was a huge life change for me. It changed. Like, I grew up listening to death metal, Slayer, and all of this just hate music,
Yeah.
And I did that into my 50s. And after I got saved, it's like the appeal to the stuff that I loved my whole life just kind of disappeared, because I'm like,
crazy.
That doesn't feel right anymore. So a lot of the negative things in my life have been washed away, which is really true. Like, I don't really watch TV or movies anymore. I used to only watch horror movies. That was my thing. Horror movies. And I started watching a horror movie probably one time. Well, it was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one that came out recently. I started watching it and I just didn't feel right. So I stopped. And then I started watching it again and then I stopped. And it's just like, how I know that a lot of people will say, that's not real. Well, how I know that it's real is because something happened inside of me and it started changing me from the inside.
It's amazing.
In such a good way. It's real. And I was a God denier. I would have said I hated God before, but it is real. It is as real as can be. And it's amazing.
Yeah. I think that's like what is like so cool is like that pivot that you made, because like once you get into your 50s, like habits are formed. Like it's hard to change as a person. I feel like I'm saying this when I'm 24, but like I feel like the older you get, like it's harder to like really change these habits that have been with you.
The saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right?
Exactly.
Well, but you can. My dad got saved, and he got saved when he was 84. He just recently got saved.
That's incredible.
And I think it's because he saw a change in me.
What do you think has been like the biggest change in like this like new life that you've like found? Is it just that whole like things just don't appeal to you as much, or like what has been the biggest things you've noticed from a mindset perspective?
Well, there's other things that used to appeal to me that don't, but the biggest thing is I didn't really understand what love was, even with my wife, right? Now I just care about people on this deep level that is so, well, it's not foreign to me anymore, but it was so foreign to me. Like, I actually care, if somebody's upset or mad, or I care if they are hurt about something.
Yeah.
I just care about people, I just have this concern, and I know, and it says in the word that, you can love people because God loves you first. And, there's like the fruit of the Spirit, joy, peace, love, all of that. So I have this peace, even in like when just chaos is happening, when just there's problems and stuff, I have this peace about me and this joy that I know it's not me. It's a supernatural thing that is happening inside of me. I'm transforming.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that is like one of the coolest things. Like I'm pretty like deep into Christianity as well. And it's just like having that solid belief that like there is something like bigger than you out there. And I feel like you can feel that as well now, as you can, the first 50 years of your life, you may not have noticed it, but like really now you're experiencing like the fruits of it.
Yeah. Like I had this hole in my heart
Yeah.
that I tried to fill with drugs and this and that and other things I won't name. but none of it worked, right? You could have as much money as you could have money, and it just doesn't fill this gap. I could have motorcycles, as many as I wanted, or cars, or nice houses, or nice stuff, or 1,000, 10,000 video games, and the best computer, and nothing fills that. And it's a God-shaped hole that's in your heart that the only thing that can fill it is the Lord.
I really like that. How is that like really shapes like how you view like content creation? You kind of alluded it before we pressed recording here, but can you take like your approach to like content creation with that and like the video game industry as a whole?
Because the video game industry how can I even say that? Because there's a very opinionated thought of Christianity with the culture that is video games or content creation. Because it's considered very liberal, or that's liberal, whereas Christianity is considered conservative. Yeah. Right? There's this divisiveness. And I don't like that divisiveness. Like, I don't watch the news because the news is garbage. It doesn't matter what news it is. It could be Fox News. It could be CNBC. The whole point of the news is to get people riled up so they do this, right? Yeah. We need, as a whole, as the human race, to be able to come together in love and not just like, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Because you know what? The only one that's right is the Lord. And I understand that people that don't understand that, and it's weird because it says in the word that it's foolishness to people that don't have the Holy Spirit, right? If you don't, you can't understand it. And that's true. I didn't understand it until I got saved. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, I wish I could have understood it beforehand, but that's not the way that it works. Yeah. Unfortunately, it would be awesome if it did, but actually maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. I mean, I'm not God, so I couldn't say that. But so as far as content creation, I own like 2,000 games on Steam because I was an indie game content creator. So people just give me keys. I've got so many. I probably have another 1,000 keys that are not redeemed. But there's many kind of games, like I don't play horror games anymore that I used to love. I loved horror games. Anything that was super violent, I just don't play them anymore. I don't do content creation with games anymore. Yeah. Now I just want to talk about Jesus to people. So if you're interested in what I got to say, Dan Long Ministries. I got a little bitty YouTube channel with 7 subscribers because this is where I just started it. But I'm not pushing for like numbers or whatever. I believe that the people that are supposed to be there will be there, right? I know that the Lord works through some crazy ways, and it's not having 10 million views. Yeah. It's about that one person that sees something and just goes, man, that really reached me, and I have more questions. So yeah, I feel like a lot of it now, like you've like have made that strong pivot from viewership to like impact. Like that's like the new mission for Dan Long now. Yeah, and if you're going to ask about money, like I don't take donations or any of that stuff because I have my own business and I don't live stream as a career anymore. I just do it because I feel like I need to get some stuff out there. Yeah, I really like that. And can we talk about your business a little bit more? Because sure. You are co-founder of a creative studio which delivers innovative and engaging creative ads. I think this is super cool. Take me through like finding this business and like what like really prompted you to like start this. Okay, so my business partner lives here in Florida. His name's Bradley Kincaid, and when we were in Oregon, we wanted to move here to be closer so that we could, work together better because we had already been working online. We had a company called Gaming Gauntlets, was like an influencer platform where we would do sponsored events. We actually, in TwitchCon 2018, I believe we had the TwitchCon Mansion, which was amazing. We put on a big party, but we had the TwitchCon Mansion and we had 20 content creators come stay with us. They all stay with us. We paid for it. That's so sweet. We did it. It was awesome. It was like a big party. We had this massive party with a Twitch team, and we had like gaming setups where people could test indie games and all kinds of stuff like that. So we were doing that, but we wanted to do something different. So we moved here to be with him, but then we took on 2 other partners, which was Bradley's best friend and Bradley's brother. So now it's the 4 of us. Well, and my wife. My wife is one of the owners as well. And we made some content. We had different ideas, right? And it really never, the ones we were doing never really stuck, but we all make content. We're all creatives. So the company that, in the meantime, between Gaming Gauntlets and us moving here, they were part of a company, and they made ads for video games.
Interesting.
So when they, as contractors, got let go, well, I'm like, why don't we just do that, but better? Well, then why don't we do it the way we want to do it? So then we came together, and this year has been pretty good. Or this last year has been pretty good. We're getting more and more clients. We have,
nice.
Some pretty large clients. 2K games, Dream Games. And so our bread and butter is making mobile game ads for mobile games. It's funny. Someone had commented, because every once in a while I get to be in an ad, so I'm interviewing somebody, right? And they're talking about, this game has no ads, and they commented, so this is an ad that pops up in a video game to talk about a video game that doesn't have ads, and I thought that was hilarious. But we have our editor Tim Kincaid, who's a partner as well as Bradley's brother. He is phenomenal. Some of the stuff that has been put out lately, which is not on our site yet, is just, man, it is so good. Like, I was be like, dude, we should do a live stream and have all this stuff in that, but there's only so much time.
I feel that. Talk to me, like, when you're doing these creative ads, like I've seen some of these ads on your website, like they look incredible. I'm curious, like, in this process, like, what is the number one thing that like your team likes to get right when creating these ads?
We do a form of testing, right?
Right.
So one of the suggestions is, okay, we have this one ad that we're doing, and then we'll test it with like male, female, different cultural.
That's awesome.
And then, so it'll be the pretty much the exact same ad, but with different people, different age groups, different whatever, to see, which one works the best. We don't run the ad, so we have to rely on the company, and then they come back and say, yes, this was a high performer.
Interesting.
So we like to get that right. We're creative, so we also like to be as creative as possible, which is really fun. Some of the ads are very, like it looks like it's a native TikTok video. So it just looks like already content. And then other ads are very, very, has voiceovers like this. And, and there's costumes and fighting and special effects. But we really like to nail what audience. We like to figure out specifically what audience and what type of ad is for this specific game. Because
I like that.
Sometimes it's not self-explanatory. Sometimes it's, you look at this game and their target audience is casual, relaxing, and I'm like, what? That's not what I would guess, but that's what works the most.
That's really interesting. I like that you guys like will always like test, like, oh, does this ad work better? Does this ad work better? Is it a guy? Is it a girl? Is it this voiceover? Is this voiceover? I feel like that's super important, just in the creative process, but also like putting out something that people love, because you're getting great results, obviously.
Apparently, because they had been doing it with this other company, and they said, man, December is terrible. Well, December was our best month. So
interesting.
I'm super excited about it.
That is really cool. When it comes to like content marketing, obviously there's a lot that goes into like the process of like a script writing, a voiceover, creating the actual video itself. If someone's like young to mid in their 20s and they're wanting to get into a content marketing role themselves, what are some like really good opportunities right now in the content marketing space?
Content marketing. Well, video editing is, if you are an amazing, talented video editor, I mean, you could get a job anywhere. But there's also, like, I'm also a 3D animator. I went to school at Animation Mentor in the early 2010, I think, 2010, 2011. And so I learned from, Pixar animators and Disney animators. That one of my teachers was the guy who, if you've ever seen the movie Tangled, there's the song with Mother Gothel, and she sings "Mother Knows Best." Well, he's the guy that animated Mother Gothel in that section, right?
That is so cool.
And and then Blue Sky animators that animated on Ice Age, and so we went to school and about 100 people or 200 people graduated that semester, and like one or two of them got jobs at Pixar. And then everybody, I know I'm a mediocre animator, right? I'm a mediocre, but I have a good eye for stuff, but I'm not a good animator. And now you can just, it's a character animation. So I animated a lot of movements in video games and stuff, but now that you can just buy packs for that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it kind of phased out what I was doing, but to be super skilled at something, like hone your skill, whatever it is, video editing. If you want to be a community manager, really, really do a deep dive into community manager and what that takes and interacting. Content marketing. Oh man, marketing is like, sometimes it's very much throw something at the wall and see what sticks.
I feel
because especially for different video games, right? Because you never know what exactly is going to work.
Yeah.
And so it's really, you got to be able to, the important skills to have, and whatever it is you got to be able to see what works and what doesn't work right away. Don't fall in love with your ideas, because you may think your idea is brilliant, but the company you work for doesn't like it or whatever. And, if you're working for a company, they're paying you to do what they want. And even though you're the expert, and be able to course correct really quickly. Just bam, course correct, and then move on and move forward.
Yeah.
Those are super important skills.
I would say, I feel like that's really important advice. And what's always like really tricky about like the design process or like putting out like a creative product is like a lot of it, like, I want your take on this. How I approach it is like a lot of it is subjective. Like some people just like don't like that type of animation. Some people do, but it's like finding people that do like it, but it's always subjective.
I'll use that. So I'm in a motorcycle club, a Christian motorcycle club.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I do, I've made videos, and they're basically interview type videos. And so I have been doing a certain way of interviewing by like this. It was this kind of interviewing podcast online, but I had the opportunity to do at an event where we sat down and did more of a live in-person podcast style thing. And I thought it was great, man. It was back and forth. It was multi-camera angle, and I edited it together. Cool. I thought it was awesome. And I was like, this is the best one ever. And you know what? They didn't like that one. They didn't like the way that it was. They didn't like the style. They didn't like the interview thing. They liked the certain format that I already had.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in love with that idea, but I was like, man, this is so good. Why don't they see that? But it's subjective, right? And so in the end, I just go, okay, and do what they want because that's what they want. And it's the same with the client. Like since we're all co-founders, we have titles in the LLC, but we don't have titles, right? Nobody is the CEO, nobody's the CFO, whatever. We're all co-founders, even though we are kind of doing different jobs. So when we're working on stuff, since we're all creative, it's very speculative about what is good and what is not. So we will have 4 people throwing ideas together, and I'll be like, this is the best idea, and nobody likes it, But that's just what happens, right?
Yeah, and if anyone is thinking about getting into content, that is just something to be aware of. Like, it is all subjective. And another thing that you just noted on that, when you get too many people in the creative process, it always turns out to just be, in my experience anyways, it all just turns out to be like, this is like an product, because you get so many different opinions where it just actually dilutes the product. Right.
Subjective is the word. I keep saying something else, but it's subjective.
Yeah, but it is.
Yeah.
Fun.
Well, we have a really good process. Like we have a good way of doing it. We're really good, even though there's 4 people putting ideas together. We're really good at being cohesive.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, so we have concepts. So we write a bunch of concepts and we write basic scripts for them. This is one of the processes because every company is different. Some of them already give us the scripts and everything. We just do it. So there's concepts, which is the whole thought process of everything. So I spend a bunch of time playing the game or whoever is doing the concept, and then we write scripts for them. And then let's say somebody wants 2 different types of videos. We probably write 6 different concepts and scripts. And so let's say I write the concepts and scripts, and then maybe I'll put together the prop list, but then somebody else kind of will take it from there, and they will be like, oh, well, let's do this prop instead, and this and that and this. And then it will go to filming, and then maybe someone else will direct it. So already it's kind of gone through 2 to 3 people. And then when it goes to editing, then that person has creative freedom over it too. So then it may not even look like what it looked like, the thought was from the beginning, or even what the director's vision exactly was. By the end, it turns into something that is better, because it's like all of our best ideas can filter up to the top. And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that's like so cool. It's always amazing, like when the product is done or like the video is done, like you can always like be like, oh my God, like I'm so happy to show this to somebody. I feel like that's always a really good good feeling to have.
It is. It feels nice to look at the finished product and you're like, dude, that looks awesome.
Oh, that looks amazing. I love that. That's funny. Yeah. But last thing, we are going to wind down here. Just like last question for you. We've talked about general advice for people that like want to get into content marketing. As the sun is beating down my face right now, let me hydrate here.
It's perfect time. There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would be like just general advice for someone that wants to get into like a content marketing or community manager role? What would you advise them to do?
Oh man, start talking to people and asking them how they do it, right? Look at a community manager. If you're in a community and there's a community manager that is amazing, reach out to that person and be like, hey, can you give me some tips? Can you mentor me? Can, if I have questions, can I reach out to you? Because there's like with Discord, there's some really amazing experts that just like, if you want to ask them something about Discord, they'll be like, yeah, I know these 17 bots that do this. And they're really, they have so much knowledge on it. The community manager we have for the Powell Group for Indie Game Business, Ash, man, she just is like, I've been with Indie Game Business for like 4 years. Yeah. And then she came on and it kind of like, she inspired me a little bit because, man, she just gets stuff done, right? Someone will give her a task and it is done. And I had always been like, oh, I can get to it within the next couple of days. And so, just look to your coworkers, look to somebody that you think is doing amazing. Yeah. And be inspired by them, right?
I love that.
Be inspired by them. There's tons of videos online about how to be a community manager or how to create content. Find somebody that in your eyes is awesome, and especially with content, right? Find somebody that does something that you really, really like, and don't exactly steal that from them, but take those ideas and then make them your own.
That's great advice. I feel like it's always finding about like someone that like you want to kind of be, or like find like a process or someone that's doing it really well and just kind of reach out to them or follow their.
There's so many tutorials online that are just amazing. So many and using platforms like OBS, Open Broadcast Software, and that stuff has just blown up so much. And with the VTuber stuff that's been coming out, oh man, I see some of that stuff. It looks like a cartoon. It's like there's different scenes and cartoons, and people like, if you're on Twitch and you can use your points and you can do this and that, and activate all that stuff. Man, it's amazing. It's not even like a little dude sitting in the corner anymore. It's evolving into something that is so much bigger.
Amazing.
So if you want to make content creation, get those skills, get some art skills, get some video editing skills, get some, camera skills, like, where exactly does your head need to be? Have you seen those videos like we were just talking about where it's a head at the bottom of the screen? Don't be that person. Be this person where your heads are about even, right?
I love that. Well, Dan, you are the man. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people connect with you and learn a little bit more about you?
Let's see. I mean, if you just look up Dan Long Ministries, that's my Twitch channel and my YouTube channel, my little baby YouTube channel. Yeah. Or you can danlongministries@gmail.com. You can send me an email if you got some questions. I have a Discord, but I don't know if I could say that link. Actually, I don't even know what the link is, but
I love it.
It's not Discord at Dan Long Ministries, but it's something.
Well, everyone, we'll have those links down below. Dan, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your story, and talking a little bit more about content creation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.